Soundlot, and welcome to the Soundlot Music YouTube channel. Now today I thought I'd make a video talking about Peter Jackson's recent The Beatles Get Back 3-part documentary series, which was shown in November 2021 on Disney+. And being as it was a 3-part series, this is the first of 3 videos talking about the series. And in this video I'll start off with talking about episode 1. So a few things to say before I get on to my thoughts on the episode or the series is the Beatles Get Back. Peter Jackson went through over 60 hours of unseen footage from the Get Back sessions, January '69, and over 140 hours of audio, and he took 4 years. It was 4 years work in progress on this. And he put it together recently, and it was going to be released in cinemas in June this year, I think. Then it was announced, August, I think, and then it was announced in June last year, that it was instead going to be on Disney+. And I remember hearing that news, and I had a bit of disappointment because I thought I don't have a Disney+ account, and how am I going to watch this? Because I was really eager to watch it. And then a friend of mine, I lent his the access to his account to watch the 3 episodes of The Beatles Get Back. So I'm going to talk about episode 1 now, some thoughts and my 2 cents on the episode. So to start off, the episode starts off with an introduction. It's basically a recap of the band's history. It goes through the Beatles' history, which, when I watched it, first of all, I thought, a lot of people know this already, but it leads into the January 1969 Get Back sessions. The history does, and at Twickenham Film Studios, and I thought, in that context, I think the recap at the start of this episode worked very well, and it would be good for people who, because not everybody knows the history of the Beatles, actually, so I think it would work well for newcomers and new fans, as well. And then we get to Twickenham Film Studios, and we have the great footage to start off with the band rehearsing Paul's song, I've Got a Feeling, and we've got the 4 of them together, John, Paul, George and Ringo, and Yoko, John Lennon's girlfriend. All sitting there, and Paul's saying the chords. It goes to E and then G, I've got a feeling, and so on and so forth. And it's brilliant footage. It's restored very well throughout the whole documentary, really. Peter Jackson's done a great job, and Peter Jackson is a huge Beatles fan, but he also previously, of course, directed Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, which he's known for his trilogies, and he's known for his brilliant directing skills, and he's done a great job on this. And then a next thing to point out is there's a moment, one of the days in Twickenham. By the way, it goes through like a calendar, marking off on a calendar throughout the month of January '69. And as a documentary goes by, it X's off the day on the calendar. So we get to I think it was about the 7th of January. To start off, there's this footage. George and Ringo are sitting there, and Paul comes in with his bass, and he starts plucking away this tune, and in the space of 2 minutes, he comes up with the song "Get Back," which would become the band's next single, and it's incredible just the way he plucks it out of thin air, just sitting there on his bass in front of George and Ringo at like 8 in the morning at Twickenham. So that's another brilliant scene, brilliant moment. And then we have the disagreement between Paul and George, which was shown in the original Let It Be movie. Paul saying, "Can you play like this? Play like," and George is like, "I'll play whatever you want me to. I won't play at all if you don't want me to play. Whatever it is that'll please you, I'll do it." That's what George said to Paul. But it shows the disagreement in better context in this Get Back documentary, and it's spread it out a bit to about a minute or so, and it shows Paul standing up and saying, "I'm not fucking doing this on camera," this argument. So it shows more of that, and I think it worked well in context, that disagreement they had. And then the band, along with the director, supposed to be the director of the documentary, Michael Lindsay Hogg, who directed the original Let It Be, and the band, they talk about the possibility of performing a live show, which is supposed to be at the end of these sessions. That's the plan. And there's different disagreement. There's different suggestions going around. An amphitheatre in Greece or on a boat. Different places like that. And for a start, George wasn't keen, as is evident in this footage when they talk about it, that he wasn't keen on going abroad on a boat. He wanted his privacy, and he said the idea was very ridiculous and expensive. And of course, at the end, it became the rooftop, which I will talk more about. But there was a lot of talk about where they were going to do a live show, and there was talk about doing it in Twickenham itself, but that didn't come to fruition. And John's girlfriend Yoko Ono is very present in the sessions, and I have to say that over the years she's had a lot of a bad rap for breaking up the band with arguing. But when you see the footage, I don't believe that's true at all, because she just sits there in most of this footage, just quietly next to John. So I think it's time to re-evaluate really the Yoko's position in the Let It Be sessions, Get Back sessions, and Paul's girlfriend Linda Eastman, who would become his first wife, is in the sessions as well, and she seems quite happy to be there. She sits there on a chair, and that's the next thing she watches. Paul's there composing The Long and Winding Road on piano with the roadie Mal Evans, and Mal's helping him out with some words. Paul's trying to think of the next verse, and it's just great to see the creative process and Paul coming up with The Long and Winding Road, and many other songs during the sessions. And an interesting thing for me was they were working on George presented All Things Must Pass, and which would be become the title song of his first solo album. And John and Paul add harmonies. John goes on the organ, George sings, and John and Paul help him out a bit. And so there was some moments when George would get some help off John and Paul. And but we get towards the end of the episode. It's a very interesting moment, which I knew about before, but I'd never seen footage of it before. Well, because most of this is unseen footage, which has been restored, and it's George Harrison's departure from the band at the end of the episode. There wasn't much indication that George wanted to leave. You see in the footage, he didn't seem that happy. He wasn't talking much. Didn't seem very like he wanted to be there particularly. But there's a moment when George says, "I'll be leaving the band now," and John says, "When? Now? And get a replacement. Get someone else to fill my place." Like right into the NME or something, the New Musical Express, and get someone else. And George says this to John and Mal Evans, and then there's no footage of this, but there's audio of him saying, he says, "See you around the clubs." So he left on the 10th of January 1969, and that's what ends the episode. Almost ends the episode, but it's towards the end of the episode, and John, Paul and Ringo continue jamming without George, and Yoko's there, and there's an interesting bit, because George is gone now, so they can't really think of what to do. So Yoko does a screaming, and John does some guitar feedback, Paul bass with the feedback, and Ringo, messing about a bit, and so that's very interesting to get to see that on camera, to see that footage, and then at the end of the episode, they decide to. It says that they have a meeting with George. They go to have a meeting with George to convince him to rejoin the band. The meeting doesn't go well. So that was the end of... and we have a demo of George's In the Pity playing in the background. So that was what happened at the end. George left because he was unhappy. And so that's my thoughts really on the Beatles Get Back Part 1 of the series. And in the next video I'll be talking about part 2. This is a 3-part. I'll be doing the video in 3 parts, as I said. And so there we are. So as usual, I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to watch, like, share and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.